Welcome to Only Social Features. This is actually one of the first conversations that I will be putting out, and I'm very happy that one of the first conversations I'm going to have is with the one and only Madeline Stanley. How you doing, Madeline Stanley?
Good. How are you? I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to talk to you. We're going to have a fun conversation here in just a second about video game adaptations, but I just want to catch up with you. What's been up with you?
You know, busy. I'm prepping because as we're recording this, it is Summer Game Fest week.
It is.
And there's lots of things going on. I'm very excited to see all the announcements, see all the video game friends that are coming into town. So I'm very excited about that.
That I'm jealous because you're so close to all the fun activity and you can go see people and say hello and hugs, and I'll be stuck in the Midwest. So yeah,
it's definitely a perk of living in LA, but you know, the downside is that my rent is astronomical. So at least take solace in that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I'm happy that everything's A-okay and everything's good. As for people watching this, hopefully you followed us to this video. Of course, I'm trying to do more video essay type stuff. And of course, the video is about adaptations, what went wrong with them, what's good about them. And this is going to be the full conversation that we're going to have, in which we're actually going to dive in. So we actually haven't had the conversation yet, but you saw it already. Saw little pieces of it. So hopefully...
And we did great.
Yes, we did fantastic, by the way. The video came out, 1 million views. Shocking. Don't know how that's possible.
I'm so proud.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But to get to the topic of all, of course, I wanted to talk to Madeline because the first thing was I was actually in the theater ready to watch Until Dawn, and I of course know that Madeline Stanley. You know what? Tell me a little bit of history with, of course, the video game Until Dawn. We're gonna start there right off the top. We're getting into it. We're just going straight into it, and then we'll talk about some of the other adaptations. But you know, what is your history with Until Dawn? When did you first hear of the game? When did you first play the game? Feel free.
Okay, I just realized I made it in a major faux pas because I have a shirt that says it's just a prank hand, and I'm not wearing it. And I really should have put it on, so that's my fault. I apologize to you and to anyone watching this. But my history with Until Dawn is a long and storied history. I now always say, like, it's my favorite game of all time. It's my number one. I bought it like kind of sight unseen, honestly. Like the week it came out, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was like, I think you'd like this. And I was like, oh, what is it? And he was like, yeah, it's like a horror movie you get to make the choices in, and I think like this will be your vibe. And so we got it the first, we got it launch day or whatever, and I played it, and I was like obsessed, hooked, like hooked on phonics, could not stop thinking about Until Dawn. And I played it like fully, I think within the next 2 days, and then watched as like every other person that we knew, I made them play it. So I made my future sister-in-law play it. I made my sister play it. I made everybody basically I know play it. And to this day, I still grab friends who are not gamers and I say, you have to play Until Dawn with me. So even as recently as I think about like 6 or 7 months ago, 2 of my close friends, I was like, we're not doing a movie night tonight. We're doing an Until Dawn night, and we're playing Until Dawn together. And they were obsessed as well. So I think I've probably played the full game, I want to say like 20 plus times, maybe.
Wow. That's quite a bit, because there are a lot of permutations that obviously you can do within the game. And so to have that experience with friends, to be that communal experience that Until Dawn can do, I think is pretty awesome. I had a similar situation with my former co-host over there at Point in Progress, Frank. I actually invited him over to my house. He loves horror movies just like I do, and so I thought it was a fun little exercise to have him actually play the game as well. By the way, if you hear some meowing, there's not some cat in the background, so don't just pretend that doesn't exist. So
yeah, that's
just sound effects.
A meow.
Yeah. I'm adding to the ambiance with the cat. So It's all good. But yeah, like I'll say like my first introduction to Until Dawn, it was, in one of the showcases. I think I saw the trailer and immediately the first person that I connected straight to, of course, was the lead, which I don't know why her name is escaping my brain right now because I watched her.
Sam.
What was that?
Sam?
No, it was, yeah, Sam. I'm sorry. It was, oh my God. I grew up with her. I saw her in, Remember the Titans. I can't.
Hayden Panettiere.
Hayden Panettiere. Thank you so much. Hayden Panettiere, which of course I watched from Heroes, Remember the Titans and such. And so to see them in starting in a video game was like, oh, okay, I'm immediately drawn in. And then also through this time, I'm watching like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so I see Grant as one of the characters. And I had no idea who Rami Malek was until this game. And then I saw him everywhere.
Oscar winner.
Yeah,
Rami
Oscar.
Malek.
Exactly. And then we're going to be talking about him hopefully in just a second. But yes, Until Dawn just sort of came out of nowhere. It was a choose your own adventure. Like I read those books, like the special like Goosebump books where it was like get to choose your own little side paths. And so the fact that they made that into a video game, I was excited. And so I played it and it's one of the very like platinums that I love doing. I was going through all the story bits, I was collecting all the pieces, and I managed to complete 100% of that game. So Until Dawn, yeah, it holds a very special place in my heart. So when I was hearing that they were working on a movie adaptation of the game, obviously you get high expectations. When you first heard the news that they were having a movie, what was your thoughts? What was your worries first before even seeing the film?
So, yeah, it's hard because I do feel like we're in a pretty good season of video game adaptations. So you kind of want to go in with like, oh, things are going well, so it could be good. And like my other favorite game of all time is Fallout New Vegas. Like those are my two tied. So having just come off of an amazing Fallout adaptation that I was extremely happy with, I feel like I went into it with pretty like medium expectations. I never want to get things too high just because like, they always find ways to disappoint you. I feel like I kind of went in with two minds, which is that one, they can either adapt it like beat for beat the story, in which case I wasn't sure how I would feel about that because they're not going to get any of the same actors. Like just thinking with my practical brain, right? Like that's not happening. So do I want them to recast an entire game and then just do the same thing? And then, or you can kind of have an adaptation that has a similar feel, which just captures the vibe, which is more of what Fallout did, right? And like that worked really well for that. So I'm like, that's kind of where I was hoping they were gonna go with like something that captured the feeling of what it was like to play Until Dawn. And I feel like they kind of ended up doing neither a little bit. But I was hopeful, even after they announced that it was not like a straight adaptation. I was like, okay, actually, I feel like that's a good thing. Like that actually made me more intrigued to watch the movie when they said, yeah, it's not just going to be about these specific teens. It's not going to be about Hayden and Rami and all those people. It's going to be something completely different. And that kind of actually intrigued me more and made me a little bit more excited about it. Did you, where were you kind of at? Like, did you want them to do a beat for beat thing? And then tell me what you were kind of thinking when they announced it.
I was in the same boat where I'm like, there's no way they're going to get Hayden Panettiere to still play like a 19-year-old or, 20-year-old character. Rami Malek as well is, now prolific in all the roles that he's doing. So they're not going to play these teenagers. So I was expecting, we're going to get a whole new cast in terms of, I didn't know that we would get those characters. I assumed that they would do something a little different. And so when they said that it's got sort of like a time mechanic, I was like, that is by far the furthest away that I thought you can connect to it. But also like there is an interesting death mechanic in the game, so like it wasn't too far off. So like I gave it more credence when I heard about the idea, and then I saw the first trailer, and I think I was just like, oh, this looks like it could be a Netflix movie. Like it looked like it didn't look super polished when I saw the trailer. I will say
Mm-hmm.
I think that the movie itself, and we'll talk about the movie here in just a second. Like, I think there's actually is a lot more to it, and we'll get there in a second. But like, yeah, I at first was like, I'm down, I'm excited for the idea. Saw the premise, I was like, that's weird. Saw the trailer, didn't have higher expectations. But then when I sat down in the theater and then I, finished this 2-hour movie, I was just like, oh, awesome. I'm happy that we got this, even as different as it is, and somehow they find a way. And so we'll talk about that then. Madeline Stanley, I ask you, did Until Dawn the movie live up to the name Until Dawn as a adaptation of the source material?
For me personally, I would say no.
Ooh.
I do think that it is a fun movie, and this is what I think when you go into it with Until Dawn being my favorite game of all time and knowing it front to back and kind of having these many years of experiences with it, that's really hard to live up to. And I think that's what we're finding with a lot of video game adaptations, right? I think we kind of talked before, some people are having some different feelings about The Last of Us and how that show is going now with season 2. We can maybe come back to that. But when you have such a connection to a movie, a property, a game, like it does feel like you own it or you have some kind of possession over it. And I don't feel that way about Until Dawn, but I do feel like it didn't quite hit the feelings that I wanted it to hit. I feel like the beauty of Until Dawn is sharing it with your friends. I think making the decisions, kind of having that sort of B horror movie where you get to kind of see what people do wrong, what people do right. And in some ways it did hit that, but I feel like a lot of the things that I was looking for to make it Until Dawn, like something as simple as like the snowy, cozy cabin setting, I feel like would have gone a long way for me just to make it feel a bit more like what that felt like being there, not even to have the same characters or they still did incorporate Wendigos, which is great. Like that's an iconic monster in the Until Dawn franchise. But I do think the sort of time loop narrative does kind of make it feel like a video game, but not that video game. Like it video gameizes it for me, but it doesn't make it feel like Until Dawn. And part of that I think might just be like it's a game emulating a movie, and now it's a movie emulating a game emulating a movie. So how do you kind of transfer that?
Yeah, that's a fair simulation of what perspires in the game. Like it is there is a mechanic, but it is not in terms of like how you enjoy Until Dawn, which adds to why that movie's replayable. Sorry, that game is replayable, and why you want to keep exploring other aspects of characters and make different choices. A lot of the choices that I think that they make in the movie are just similar stuff, and it ultimately resorts to like how I would say like people that play like not Souls games, but like a sort of like, oh, the run's over, we got to start over, like
Yeah.
they kind of do that, which was funny, like when some of it happens. But I felt like the one time they do it, and they did it, I think a couple times, I was just like, I didn't necessarily need, to go that route. And there's some fun, shocking things that they do in this movie. That's pretty cool. But I do agree that like it doesn't necessarily capture the same spirit of the original source material. I do like that it is different, and I feel like if the movie didn't have the Until Dawn name on it, I would still enjoy the movie that we saw. I would think it's less than. I think the top layer of the cake there is that it is called Until Dawn, and so you are getting Wendigos, you are getting the Masked Men, which was a little odd in terms of just like they're just a random guy with the wig, which
Yeah.
I mean, technically that is in lore of like an Until Dawn where that is just a random guy, but then we learn that it's actually Josh, but like. It's still just interesting that they pluck these little things out. And I would say it's more of a sequel to the VR game than it is to the actual like main canon storyline of that game. And so like it is interesting that yes, there's iconography to Until Dawn that makes it distinct. So I think that's cool. I just wish there was just more like, you're right. The snowy cabin stuff, like all that stuff adds to that story. And so like when the idea of like say an Until Dawn 2 comes around, which by the way, question to you, I haven't asked you, have you played the remake as well? The Until Dawn remake?
Yeah, so when I was guest hosting at Kind of Funny, back last October, we did play the PS5 remake, and it was very interesting because I think ultimately kind of Andy and I were talking about this, I think on the stream, like it's not that different. It like looks a
Yeah.
little bit better, but ultimately like the game looked so good when it came out.
Yes.
Like the improvements are not, they're kind of few and far between to my perception. When people asked me after that stream like would you recommend buying the new one or just like getting PS Plus and playing the old one or
Yeah.
picking up the old one, I was like honestly the differences are so little. I would recommend the older one unless you really feel like you're one of those people who like can see the sort of like 4K up res sort of things, which I'm not. Like I think it's so stylized. Some of that like hyper upgrade stuff gets lost on me. The one thing that you get with the new version, with the remake, is that there's like a little button ending scene you can get, which on our playthrough on Kind of Funny, I did not get. um, which kind of teases an Until Dawn 2 that Hayden Panettiere is still alive and there's something else going on. So I am really curious if we're going to get that announcement soon for Until Dawn 2 and yeah, like what that will look like.
Yeah. Especially when you take that now in context to this video game, or sorry, this movie adaptation, which you think it's just going to be its own thing. And then there's a little picture that you see. And actually, the last shot, if I'm not mistaken, is just directly the game. So theoretically, this movie, I keep saying game movie because it's interchangeable, takes place.
They're both games. They're both movies.
Exactly.
Somehow.
Exactly. You know, and it's Dr. Hill is just making a game of himself, and he has all these experiments all over the place, apparently. It is like, if it's kind of funny how like this one story then is basically the previous story to the, you know, Until Dawn that we know. And then, but the Until Dawn story that we know is possibly getting a sequel. So like, it is interesting how like this doesn't feel like such a small thing. It does feel like there is extended story, but that story is expanding, but not this story. I don't know how to explain it other than it's just like, this is probably the last we'll ever see of these characters, but there's a chance that we might see favorites in the video game world. Do you see this ever expanding past into other franchise territory in terms of movies? Like, would that even work? Like,
so it's interesting because I think this is also one of the tricky things about Until Dawn, which is like, and then when people were talking about it being made into a movie, which is like, it's a contained story. Like, I don't see, even for an Until Dawn 2 game, like I wouldn't want to go back to the same cabin in the same area. Like that doesn't sound interesting to me. It's why I was so intrigued by the Dark Pictures anthology.
yes.
And that's kind of what I could see them doing with the Until Dawn franchise as far as the films, which is that they call the next one Until Dawn 2. They pull a Dark Pictures anthology and have it, you know, loosely connected through newspaper clippings or maybe one character or, you know, some references, but it's, you know, a new setting, a new set of bad things going on, maybe a different mechanic, not a time loop, but maybe, I don't know, some other kind of mechanic that makes it feel video gamey, but kind of switches up the script a little bit. Because I feel like that's kind of what you have to do with this. Like, there's only, for me, I love Until Dawn and I'll play it a million times, but would I want a second one where it's like grown-up versions of the people and they're doing the same thing but like with higher stakes? Not really. Like that doesn't sound that exciting. But what I love is something connected where Sam's in a different situation and this time they're like vampires or Bigfoot or like, you know, some other crazy situation, you know, maybe a Saw type thing. As a Saw sicko, I would love that if, you know. But I feel like they could really go the Dark Pictures anthology route. And honestly, I think it's unfortunate that the Dark Pictures anthology doesn't have the same juice that Until Dawn does, because I feel like this movie, the Until Dawn movie, under the Dark Pictures anthology banner rather than the Until Dawn banner, would have been received a lot better by some of the Until Dawn heads. Like, I feel like it would have eased it into it a little bit and
Sure.
been like, this is not my Until Dawn. They'd have been like, oh yeah, it's like in the universe. It's cool. It's fun.
Yeah, because like every Dark Pictures, obviously there's always like the curator or the doctor that's like leading you on to these stories, but then the stories themselves are, you know, contained for the most part. And then that's what felt a little different about this movie, is that a primary character that we don't interact with our characters, because he is just a narrator, he's just the guide that is leading us through the story. He becomes a central part of like the antagonist force from this movie. And it is weird that he's not that in the original game or part of the game. So like he's just sort of this nebulous thing. Like he chooses when he decides to get involved, because he literally had no purpose doing any of the stuff that he does in the movie, but like just to be, you know, weird, scary guy, which apparently can survive being exploded, by the way. There's a lot of stuff there. And then why is this mechanic exist here and not in the, you know, the story that we know as well? Like there's a lot of leaps in logic that and stuff where I'm like, yeah, you're kind of fitting, you know, circle into a peg. Like it's just not working. So like, I feel like there's some room that they could work around. But yeah, in terms of Until Dawn, I don't think they completely nailed the actual emotions and stuff that you're supposed to go for that game. It's still a fun movie, and I still like the things that they do. Like I actually have a scale, and my scale is usually, it's either, for in my personal opinion, and I'll state this now, I think The Last of Us is like as close as the first season. We'll talk about season 2 in a second. The first season is as close as you're going to get to a near perfection. And then there is like Doom and Borderlands and you know, Blood Rain and Postal, and that's on this side of the spectrum. If I had to put Until Dawn, I'm probably closer to this side than I am to this side. Is that how, do you feel that way as well?
I agree. I feel like to me it's equivalent to kind of probably the closest thing I would put it to is like the Uncharted movie.
Okay, yeah.
Where like
yes.
it's like it's kind of Uncharted. Like
Yeah.
it's fun. Like I get some cool adventure vibes, but like is you know, Marky Mark a good Sully? Debatable to a lot of people. Is Tom Holland a good Nathan Drake? I feel like debatable as well.
Yeah.
Like, but the sort of spirit is kind of there. I feel like it misses the mark a little bit, but it's not a bad movie. Like I watched that movie, I had a fun time watching it. I definitely don't have as much of a sort of history and like love of Uncharted as I do Until Dawn. So if I offended the Uncharted fans out there and they're like, that is not a good movie at all, I am so sorry. As someone who's like a casual Uncharted fan, I was like, yeah, that was kind of fun. Was it really like a great adaptation like a Last of Us season 1, like a Fallout? Not so much, but it's definitely better than, yeah, like a Doom or something else like that.
Yeah, Monster
I feel
Hunter.
like even almost I could also put it in line with like Resident Evil,
Okay.
which was not like the game Resident Evil at all, but it kind of had the vibes. Like you got there. I have a deep love for that movie, and it's not so similar to any of the games specifically, but it's got the vibes. It's got some pieces that you go, oh yeah, it's the thing from Resident Evil, and I think there's some good stuff in the Until Dawn movie. It just gets bogged down by a lot of, I think, weird choices and kind of like some sort of emotional attachments that I think would be free of those shackles had it been named something else. Like people would be like, oh, look at this cool, fun movie that has this time mechanic. And if it didn't have the Until Dawn name, I do think a lot of people would boost it up a little bit more. I do think that having Peter Stormare was a very good choice because he is a fantastic actor, and I love him reprising his role and just like going full ham, just chewing the scenery, just being his evil self. Like he just looks like he's having the best time. And that is one piece that definitely does feel very Until Dawn to me, just like him monologuing in his office while she's
Yes.
like, oh my God, can you shut up?
I was hoping that there was going to be times where like we were going to see him in his office and it was just him looking at the camera talking to the audience. But you're
I think
right.
that would have been cool.
That would have been cool, but obviously they did more integrate him into the story as sort of like, also he like cosplays as, as a guest.
As like a gas station attendant.
Whatever.
I did see like I've seen so many comparisons to Cabin in the Woods, and I definitely feel like that's one of the big reasons that people feel that way. Like he's like, I'm dressing up as the Harbinger, and then they get to the cabin and there's all these monsters, and I'm like, yeah, it definitely feels kind of like more Cabin in the Woods than it does Until Dawn, but that's okay. It's still fun. It's just it's not what I would have made if I made an Until Dawn movie. I don't think it's so far off, like you're saying. Like, it's not all the way on the spectrum. It's just like more towards the middle for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think putting it in sort of like the Resident Evils, like it has the iconic things that you know, but it is telling its own thing, and you can either have fun with that or you can dismiss it. And I think either works, in my opinion. So I do agree with that. I'm going to ask you just a sort of general question: what makes a good adaptation good? What makes a bad adaptation bad?
I think there's so many things, and I feel like that's why I think it's so hard to nail a good video game adaptation, because you have to have a lot of things. And kind of like we were talking about earlier, like I think there's kind of two routes, right? You can try to do like a faithful, not shot for shot exactly, but like very spiritually true, like a Last of Us season 1. Like that was very spiritually true to the first game, and that felt like what the characters would do. They were pitch perfect as far as like their acting, the plot, all of those things. And then I feel like you can also do the more Fallout route, which is like the story itself is not really the issue. It's more like feeling like you're immersed in the world and feeling like this is something that if you hopped into Fallout right now, like you could have the same kind of adventure that the character was having. And I think that was one of the reasons I loved Fallout so much, is someone who gets distracted by side quests a lot, who loves the sort of like dual tone of it being like a little funny, but also like very serious at the same time. Like, like you never know what you're going to get, right? Like, are you going to get the ghoul? Are you going to get something like really zany? Who knows? That Fallout really scratched that itch for me. And I feel like if you're gonna go with iconic specific characters like The Last of Us, you have to really feel like, oh yeah, this is the same Ellie, this is the same Joel that I remember from the game, because like people do have really intense attachment to those characters. And I think if there's not consistency there, that's when you start feeling like, okay, like did the people who made this care about this game? Are they just doing it for the recognition, for the money? Like I feel like when people take a lot of care to know why people love the thing that they love, it kind of shows up on screen. And I think you can definitely see that in the better adaptations, that the people really loved the source material and took a lot of care to have that show in the acting and the scripts and the sets and the little touches that kind of make everything sing all at once. Do you have any other favorite adaptations besides like those two? Those are my like two like golden children.
They're the current examples of the golden children. Fallout and season 1 of The Last of Us nailed what they were going for in their tones. Like in terms of like I mean, I will say Last of Us cheats a little bit because it's very very much like a movie that you are playing through, and that's through cutscene, that's through action, and they do a great job of being able to translate that. We'll talk about season 2 in a second. I promise we'll get there because I have thoughts. But and then Fallout was another example of like, you're correct. It's the base things that you need for a Fallout story. And then here's your adventure, and you get to see the decisions that they make and the problems and the mistakes and all that. And the consequences. And then it leads you to, this vast world that it made so many people jump back to Fallout 76, which was considered a dead game. Like there's so much that Fallout show did to bring back the interest, I think, for Fallout. And so it could have gone either way. And I'm so glad that we ended up getting what it is. And it helps that Kyle MacLachlan's there. We'll just say that.
He's fantastic.
This one's more in the bad spectrum, but I have stupid love for it. And it's the Dead or Alive adaptation of the video game, where it's the Dead or Alive fighting game, and it's a tournament, and then there's a volleyball, and it's all the characters look like the characters, but it also has that stupid 2000s like trap could be playing in the background, and they're punching each other, and there's like Mountain Dew and stuff like that. It's very much in that flavor, but I love just because it had that silly style of those games, and those games are what they are. They're just people bounce around punching each other. And
I didn't even know there were movie adaptations, honestly.
It's one movie, and it has all of like, it has like a wrestler, like Kevin Nash is in it. Like Eric Roberts is the bad guy. Like, it's such a goofy time. And they literally have a beach volleyball scene where there's,
that's amazing. And
that's all I could ask for is you put the fighters on an island. They look almost comic accurate to the thing, and it's you know, you get what you want, but it's also really bad. It's not a good movie, but it just was like, actually, you know, the other example, the Super Mario Brothers movie from the 90s. I love that. I love that movie to death. It's batshit crazy, but you know, it has like
the John Leguizamo
one. Like it's you know,
that's a choice.
It's just, I think it's the childhood nostalgia, right? It's just like if I grew up with it, then it's going to be the thing that I live forever. I'm sure that if I was an adult around the time that the movie came out, I'd absolutely like this is not Super Mario. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you even translate that into a movie? And obviously the animated route is the way to go.
Yeah. If we've seen anything, I do think that is one of the sort of like hard things about adapting anything, right? Like, video games, anime, anything. Like, I feel like if it is something in your childhood, it's really hard to recapture that joy and sort of nostalgia and attachment that you have to something. I think like there's a lot of things that get a pass, right? Because you love it. I know there was like that Zelda cartoon that like that people are very split about. And like if you loved that as a kid, then you're going to feel a certain type of way about it. It's actually something I wrote down to bring up to you, which was like, I feel like people talk about Mario and the Sonic movies being like good adaptations. But my question is like, are they adaptations? I guess they are, because they are just in the world, kind of we're talking about with Fallout.
Yeah.
But do you feel like those are good adaptations, or they're just good movies that have characters that we love from our youth?
I think the Super Mario strictly the animated Super Mario Brothers movie, I think it's there about 80%. I think 20% of it is the Minions kind of movie that I don't necessarily particularly like. However, they have the characters and they give them some agency and some stuff not so great. But I think that as something for kids, I think it's solid for what it is. Like, it's not like something that I would say end all be all. Sonic is interesting. Sonic starts really not a Sonic movie. It just so happens to have the Sonic character in it. And then slowly over the course of 2 movies and a TV show, finally resembles to me what Sonic is. We just got to get the humans out of it. except for Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey could stay. Everybody else, like, it's weird. Like, it's Sonic is an alien from some other dimension, and he goes to basically Montana and lives with a cop. Like, that's not Sonic. But by the time you get to 3, where we're talking about Shadow the Hedgehog and his backstory, and it's almost accurate to the T to the video game, to references to music, to stuff like that, like, it takes a while to get to the close representation of what we want. It also shows that sometimes the things that we love are also not that great, but that's okay because it doesn't matter. He looks like Sonic now. When he first showed up and we saw that first trailer, I was terrified because that was.
I'm so glad we bullied the studio executives.
That's the one example where bullying actually is a good thing. And I'm glad that animators, got jobs, I assume, and still got paid for both versions. So either way. Plus, we also got the Chippendale movie, which also had the character in there. Also awesome. So, like, I think that for children, they are the gold standard, and I'm okay with that. If there was anything less than, and honestly, I can't think of a child adaptation. Oh, actually, I grew up watching the Mortal Kombat cartoon when I was a kid, so I don't know if that.
Oh,
there was like like the 90s was weird. There was always like a rated R movie and then a child kid version of it. There was a Dumb and Dumber cartoon, there was a Masked cartoon, and then there was Mortal Kombat. I don't know why. Mortal Kombat also, that movie fucking rules, except for the sequel. The sequel sucks. But yeah, in terms of gold standard for that, like. I think that they are the gold standard for children. Some might say Minecraft is the gold standard for children. I'm not that person personally, but for some people it might be. I don't know. Did you see the Minecraft movie, perchance?
I did not see the Minecraft movie. After I heard about the child riots in the theater and people throwing popcorn at the screen, I decided that I would refrain. As I do not have a child and I don't really know any children of that age, I was like, I'll stay at home. Maybe it's something I'll catch on streaming.
Sure.
And I'm happy with that decision for myself. Did you see it?
I did see it. There was no riot in my theater, thank God. I think I heard a kid say chicken jockey at one point. But luckily it wasn't as, extreme, because I think I went in week 1, so it wasn't like huge news about it. But like, I overall think the movie's fine. I just don't think it goes anything above that. As in terms of an adaptation to Minecraft, it's Minecraft, just addendum with like Nacho Libre. Like, it's literally like if Nacho Libre and Minecraft like came together, it's this movie. And I know that there's also massive fans for Five Nights at Freddy's. And, like, I thought the movie was but like people really love and respond to it because it has all their touchstones to things that they like, and that's fine too, I guess.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on like your connection to the franchise and like what you're looking for. I feel like sometimes all people want is just to be like to have the sort of get the hits, right? Like see the golden Freddy or whatever. I don't know that much about Five Nights at Freddy's, but I was talking to someone and they were like, oh, did you like the big reveal at the end that it was this Freddy? And I was like, I thought that was the same one. And they're like, no, that one was gold and the other one was brown. And I was like, oh, I thought they were the same. I'm so sorry. I didn't understand.
Yeah, because they don't explain it in the movie.
No. But and if that's what you're looking for, that's cool too. I do think like something that I personally like, and I do feel like a lot of people feel this way. I want an adaptation to feel like I'm in the universe, right? Like that I'm existing, because that's what a video game does, right? Like you're inside of it, and I don't want to feel like I'm being like I am watching it. I want to feel like I'm in it. I want to be immersed. And I think a lot about merch, that we're going somewhere here, which is like I want to wear a shirt that's Ellie's shirt from the game.
Sure.
I don't want to wear a shirt that says The Last of Us. And I feel like a lot of adaptations are shirts that just say The Last of Us, like this is the thing, like look at this, look at this, look at this. And they're not like, oh, you are this character, you're immersed with these people and you're living that feeling. They're like, oh yeah, hey, this is Fallout because it says Fallout here and we said the thing and we did the thing. They're like, no, like your dad's missing, man, and you gotta go find him. And like I feel like being immersed is the highest praise for me, where I'm like, oh, like I'm having just as much fun watching this as I would be playing it because I feel like I'm so involved in whatever's happening on screen.
Yeah. And I feel like you search out for high quality and stuff like that. There are times where things can just be things, but like also you want like the prestige I think that The Last of Us brings, or the prestige I even think Fallout brought. It's a comedy. Yeah. It's definitely a comedy show, but it's still high quality in terms of the emotions that you feel. And how it engaged you throughout the season. So like that's, I think like this is why we keep saying that to us, they're like the gold standards. Let's go ahead and we're going to talk about The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, I'm so curious your thoughts.
Because you just finished the last episode, right? You said you watched it, or did you?
Yes. So
Okay.
I literally just watched it today because I have been really busy the past couple weeks.
Sure.
And honestly, like seeing everyone's thoughts online before I got a chance to watch it definitely made me feel a certain type of way about watching it. I was like, oh, I don't know. Everyone's has big feelings.
Yes.
I got to take a beat, clear my mental slate, and then go into it with like not as much sort of external opinions.
Yeah, and funny enough, one of the I mean, I won't. Hopefully, I'll be talking to some of those people in this video that had those opinions as well. But I'll go ahead and start first and say that I think I didn't necessarily have like high expectations for part 2, and I wasn't even like ready for it to be here. I was just sort of like, oh, when it comes, and I have a feeling because of the goodwill that they had with the first season that it's gonna be no brainer. I'm gonna love it. I can't wait till it to be when it gets here, right? And it got here, and then I was watching it week to week, and I feel like I was seeing the hubbub from different write-ups and different how people were feeling, especially after the big scene, which full spoilers for, we kind of danced around spoilers in this conversation, but like I'm going to be spoilerific about this. So if you haven't seen it, sorry, but we're going to talk about it. Where they do, of course, have the depiction of Joel's death by Abby. It's a little different. That was when I started noticing the cracks from other people of how they feel about it and how like the way it looks, the way that's written in certain aspects. And at that moment, I was still in the like, I'm enjoying everything I'm seeing. But I also feel like I was concessioning in terms of like, well, it's a different location, so that's why it doesn't look this way. Like I was trying to find like it's written this way because they put the character over here, and so like economic of
You're
storytelling.
like making excuses for the show.
Yeah, making excuses like, oh, economically this makes sense why you would combine these three things. Like I would say like the episode where I think it's day 1 where it's Dina and Ellie are trying to get to the hospital, but they get caught up in the thing, and then Jesse shows up, and then Ellie goes to the thing. Then they're in the forest, and then they go. Like those are all big moments in the game, all truncated into one episode. And in my opinion, I thought that was actually an economical way to get those touchstones and naturally connect that to the story. Like in the original game, Jesse shows up with Ellie, and then they do a whole cool escape thing, and they go about their way. And they found a way to bring him in with Dina being there and put them in the same situation of that forest. So like I have those touchstones and I have those connections. And then that whole episode, I was like, okay, this is the reason why we're doing this. But it was, I guess, the more as the show kept going and we were getting certain things about Ellie and certain things about Dina. And Dina, in my opinion, is actually the star of the whole show because I think she's
fantastic.
She does a wonderful job, and I think elevates the character in a lot of different ways. And that's a shining thing, and I will not take that away from the show whatsoever. It wasn't until, and I was having a good time the whole time, by the way. I was liking the show every week, still hearing the discourse, not understanding. I understand some things like the way it looks and stuff like that, but I always think of like budgets and the amount of people. Like it's not going to look like the game. Like I'm constantly doing that until I think. And the part of the show that I was most looking forward to was the flashback at the museum stuff. So the dinosaur, all that. And I finally get to that episode. And that's when it broke for me, where I was watching an imitation versus someone actually adapting it, and just sort of felt like cosplay. It felt like, and I'm not trying to discredit cosplayers. I'm just trying to give an example of how I feel, where it just felt like I was watching a play. I don't know how to describe it. It felt like they were inauthentically trying to replicate the story of the game beat by beat. And that's where I was starting to see the artifice of an adaptation, where you need to tell this story in a way that, is new and fresh on a different medium. And instead it was very much like, we're going to do beat by beat this. Here's are the few things that we're adding. By the way, here's some extra details that the audience ever asked for or needed. You know, like I didn't need to know where the watch came from. Didn't need to know.
Did you need to know about Joel's abusive dad?
Didn't need that.
Do you feel like that added anything?
It didn't. To me, it was just an additional thing that you added and made me depressed. Like, I don't know. Like, and then to see that translate, I feel like story-wise, like the conceit of the episode's great, of like it's every year is her birthday, like that's cool. But for some reason, something in my brain couldn't, like I like was on a train and I got off the track. And for some reason I couldn't get back on, especially within the following episode where I felt like, for some reason I was seeing the faults in characters and the way logically of like why they're doing this, and you know, and I started to come on the downturn very fast.
Yeah, I feel like I have a similar pathway, and I've been thinking a lot about this since that episode, since the Joel flashback episode, and then upon watching the finale today, which is that I think one of the issues, and maybe partially why it's like feeling fake or like a copy to you, is because they've made these like little tweaks in all the characters where the actions that they take in the game don't line up to the tweaks in the characters that they've made.
Yes.
So they're kind of just like going through the motions of like a different person. So it's like, yeah, game Ellie did these things and you understood why she was doing them.
Yes.
Or at least I did. I won't claim that everyone understood, because like Last of Us Part 2 discourse is always discoursing.
We're talking about it. We're doing it now.
I understood why game Ellie was doing those things.
Yes.
But when we get to the last episode of season 2, I don't understand why show Ellie is doing any of these things.
Yes.
Like, it's weird because in season 1, I feel like they made a concerted effort to make Ellie actually a little bit more brutal and a little harder than I felt like she was in the game. And I thought that was to soften the transition. And I was like, oh, that's really smart, because I feel like people had a hard time when Last of Us Part 2 came out. They're like, my Ellie's like sweet, she's cute, she's innocent, she would never do that.
Yeah.
And you kind of see her go through that, and then by the end you're like, yeah, she would definitely do that because she's been traumatized over and over and over. But I was like, oh, okay, there was this one scene in season 1 where she saw, and she kind of like brutalized one of the I don't remember if it was a clicker or just one of the generic ones.
I remember you're talking about. Yeah. There's a scene where she just sort of like is kind of being sociopathic towards like a clicker. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
We're showing the cracks like a little bit early to show that she kind of has this dark side to her. And so when we get to super dark Ellie in season 2, people will be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like, she was already had this side of darkness. And then of course, anyone would crack after watching what happened to Joel. Yeah. Of course they would. And so the dark path goes on. But in season 2, they lightened her so much in different, really strange ways, where I'm like, by the end when we're in the full spoilers, when she kills Mel and Owen and she's crying and she's so apologetic and she's like, I didn't mean to, and she faces Abby like, that doesn't make sense with the Ellie in the game, and also doesn't make sense with where we are in the story. Like, why did you go after Abby if you didn't mean to kill those people? Like, you're on a revenge spree, and I swear just 2 or 3 episodes ago, you were like, I'll kill anybody that's in my way. What has changed for you? Yeah. And I do feel like in an effort, I think there's kind of 2 prongs here, which is one, I think that people don't like evil or complicated moral women, and we saw that with the backlash to the characters when the game came out, and I think they were scared to go through that again. And I don't know for what. I think some people are saying part of it was to protect the actresses. I don't know if that's true. I'm not in those conversations, but I do think it does do a disservice to the characters and to the story as a whole. If your story is about violence and revenge and the cycle of violence and how it ruins people's lives, you can't have like people be apologizing right away. Like why would she continue on with what we know happens after this if she's in this place right now?
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I started to feel after I got to that episode of just like, yeah, this is just a total disconnect to what this character is in terms of like how you were building up to as well, like from season 1. Yeah, just and the placement of certain things as well, I feel like give it a disservice. Like the last scene that we have with Joel, which we see here early. I know that in the game. Also, I would say, you know what? I'll take that back. The placement of how they tell their story in the game, I feel matters. And when we see things sort of early and sort of pushed together, it then to me takes away the impact of why the story is cohesive. And now they're going to have to, in my opinion, figure out a whole other lane, which that be cool if they land it, but they have to land it now. When I feel like,
that scene just doesn't feel earned in that place.
No,
like,
it's so quick.
It's like, oh yeah, that's like nice. Like I'm glad that they were on good terms.
Yeah.
But it's like the punch of that being at the end of everything and being like everything that you went through, it's supposed to kind of give you a little light at the end of like the darkest tunnel ever, right? Like you just went through the most brutal experience of all time, right? Like we all felt like shit playing The Last of Us Part 2, I'm pretty sure. Like we did not feel happy.
No.
And that little piece is like the little gift at the end of being like, she went through all that and it was traumatic and it was bad and it was probably not the right thing to do. But there was this light of like their love for each other and they ended things in a good place. And it makes it more tragic.
Forgiveness is obtainable, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I feel like I'm okay with seeing it. It's just that now they got to do something to make it land for future. And I'm curious as how they're going to do it. We know obviously they're doing season 3 and potentially season 4, which that I wish I didn't know, because now that, and when the season before it even started, I assumed, and it was going to be the economical storytelling of like, oh, clearly we're going to get Abby in this season, right? We're going to do stuff and maybe we'll see part of her story and then maybe we see a Ellie story. I didn't expect him to just do straight Ellie, and then season 3 is clearly going to at least start with just Abby's interpretation of the 3 days, right? So like your season 4, what is that then? Is that literally just all the end cap of like her on the farm and then goes to LA? Like I'm curious how they're gonna tell.
Yeah, I that's what I imagine.
Yeah.
Like I want to go back to the pacing because you brought that up earlier.
Yes.
I think the pacing in season 2 is atrocious. And that's maybe really harsh.
Yeah.
But like for a game that's pretty significantly long, I think it's like 30 hours.
Yeah, give or take.
Depending on how slow you are. I'm a slow ass gamer, so it was probably way longer for me. Or maybe 30 hours for me and 20 for everybody else. But I think that the way that they're cutting things up, I actually really like that they kept it in the way of the game of just doing Ellie and then Abby.
Yeah.
And I think season 4 will probably be all the Santa Barbara stuff because I think there is a lot in there.
Yeah. The stuff that they can expand on for sure.
Yeah. But I do feel like we rushed through day 1, day 2, day 3 so quickly.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time in Jackson, which I'm not upset about.
No.
Like I think it was really good for the story. It leaves me feeling kind of like I did in the later seasons of Game of Thrones, where I'm like, you have so many things you're trying to say, and putting that into 7 episodes is kind of crazy because like there's so many pieces I feel like we missed, and there's some things that I feel like we spent like they kind of just mentioned it briefly, like passing, and I'm like, okay, I want more context on that. Like, can we get some elaborations?
Yeah.
And then there's things that we got more on, like Joel's father, where I'm like, yeah, like I love that actor from Breaking Bad,
Yes.
but I don't know how much that really helped us there. And like I like the more stuff that Tommy's getting, but also I just feel like it just feels so rushed. Like in I feel rushed watching it, but she doesn't feel like she's rushing
No.
on the day to day.
No, they're just
It just feels
they're walking down Seattle, you know, just having a good time. You know, they have somewhat of a goal, but they'll get to it. Like, I don't know.
and I think that makes it feel like when in the season finale, Jesse's like, "Oh, we gotta go find Tommy," and they hear on the radio, "Oh, the sniper," and they're like, "That's Tommy," and then she's like, "Oh, she's in the aquarium," but that feels so like whatever,
Yeah.
like it just feels like she's like, "Well, I'm just gonna go check out the aquarium." I think that's where Abby is, not like I've been on this mission to find Abby
Yeah.
and I'm like feeling so intense about it and I can't finish this. It's just more like, yeah, I'm just choosing Abby over going to help Tommy. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's good at this. And the urgency is just not there in the same way.
No. It felt just so and then not to mention, I think we're losing a lot of bits from Tommy. It's so interesting that like if I remember correctly, it's been a minute since I played the game. I did replay it not that long ago, but Tommy goes first. Am I correct on that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yeah. So like the change, I at first didn't mind it. It was like kind of the thing where like a little different. It does put him in a different type of character that I don't know if he'll end up in the way that he does in the game. And I can be okay with that. I'm just curious like how they're going to resolve it. But if now they just do the story how it is in the game, then I would feel like it's totally unearned. But hopefully they find a way. I'm giving them some. I feel like I'm giving them way too much. They got so much goodwill for season 1. That's why I feel this way that I'm describing it. And I'm hoping that they can land the plane. But like, there's comments coming out from Craig. There's comments coming out from Neil. Specifically, like the comment where he said Ellie was incompetent in comparison.
Yes.
And
that bothered me.
And then like he also mentioned something about like how the scene with Owen is a little different. And I'm like, you started the season with Ellie putting a giant dude in a chokehold and he nearly tapped out. What do you mean she can't just take out Owen? Like, I don't like, we've seen her do it, but then I feel like we set that up and take it immediately away from her. And I just don't understand the connect there, why they did the things that they do.
Yeah, and I think that's like when we were talking about season 1, when you have these characters that you feel like you know and you have ownership of, right?
Yeah.
Like people are like, that's my Ellie, that's my Joel. These are what my characters would do. And even amongst game players, right? Like there is the classic old question of like, my Joel would have never shot up the hospital. Like that's not the person he is. Like, but my Joel would have. Like everyone kind of has their different types of attachments. But I think when you start deviating so much, like then it does start feeling like a completely different story. You're like, well, this isn't the story that you told me before. Like you're changing it. And I feel like there were some changes in season 1 that were good, right? Like the Bill story, but that was an additive thing and not a changing of a character really that we had very much attachment to. Like you just gave a lot of context to somebody. Versus like taking your 2 core characters and mostly Ellie, I feel like did the most disservice to.
Yes.
You're changing your core character and kind of like taking a lot away from her that she needs for this whole thing's story to work.
Yeah, and I'm happy you brought up the Bill Frank storyline because I feel like that you're right, correct. It's additive, but also reflects the themes of the first game, which is from Neil's words about love. And so to show 2, gay individuals in love in the apocalypse where there's, it's just trying to survive. Like that was something I thought was quite beautiful. And I'm glad they won, the Emmys for that and stuff like that. And that's kind of, we never got that in this season because does feel bifurcated by both the alley. And I'm curious if season 3 fixes the problems I have with season 2, but I don't know if it'll actually do that. I feel like I'm going to have a better time because the story that I care about the most in the game is actually everything that season 3 is going to be. So
the Abby side.
yes. So like that, I think that's alleviates by when you play the game and that when you play the very dark, horrible murder simulator that is the Ellie side, and then you play the Last of Us, the first one, but reduxed. It's kind of the same thing where like Abby's the Joel and Lev and them are like, you know, it's very similar to the first game. So we'll see. We'll see when that eventually happens, and if they think they can land the plane. Do you think they can land the plane on this one?
I don't know. I think that is the issue, and it kind of reminded me of Spider-Man. What's the second of the animated ones? Across the Spider-Verse?
Yes.
Where it just kind of ends and you're like, oh, this is only the first part of a 2-part movie.
Yes.
I'm not super happy with where this ended. I feel incomplete and like there isn't resolution here. And I think there is a way for you to land the plane and finish 2-part stories. But I do think it's a lot harder because you kind of leave your audience in like a dissatisfied place. And I think when you leave like a long time to think about all of the things that you're kind of unhappy with, it makes that mountain a lot harder to climb to get back to a good those good spirits that people were at with season 1. It's one of the reasons that I think I was surprised that they did it the way that they did it with the Ellie and Abby split. I do think the story that the game is trying to tell works way better that way, but I still am not sure if it works way better that way as a TV show because I think they saw an extreme drop off in viewers in the season finale, and like, are people gonna come back to see the last season? I hope so. Like, it's important to the story to see the other perspective. It's incredibly important.
Yes.
For the story.
Yeah.
But
you'll see Manny as a human being in the second half. He's a asshole this season.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, for sure. And I really would like for that. We did avoid like also the very obvious parallels with current events, but the show couldn't help it. It's there. It's difficult to talk about. But yeah.
I think that it's very interesting. Like, Last of Us as a franchise is really hard to talk about, I think, especially and have criticisms about, because there are so many valid ones I think that you can criticize about the show and the game and the game's creators and some of their opinions and things that they've placed upon it. But then there's also so many not valid criticisms about the game that it's sometimes hard to have conversations like you and I are having, because I'm not accepting any transphobia conversations about The Last of Us. I'm not accepting any anti-feminist conversations. I'm not accepting the Mary Sues or any of this sort of like insane conversation about this.
Yeah.
Like, these are not valid conversations to have. There are so many things you can criticize or constructively talk about that we just did that are not about the existence of entire groups of people. And if that's your issue, like, step away from that, okay?
Yeah, I'm so tired of seeing TikToks and stuff like that, and just like talking about like, oh, this is the girl from Alien Romulus. Doesn't she look just like what Ellie should look like? Or this such person would be such a better Ellie. Like, no, I don't agree with you. I think Bella Ramsey is doing a pretty fantastic job. It's the things that the writers are doing to the character that I feel like are not reflective of what I think could be done. I think the actress is perfectly capable of being able to do those things. Especially,
and if your issue is that a girl who's supposed to be 14, 15, 16-year-olds isn't hot enough, I need you to go look at yourself in the mirror and think about what that means about you.
Yes.
Like, they shouldn't be hot. A small child is not hot to you.
Yeah.
So if you're upset that she's not pretty enough or hot enough, like, think you need to go to your room and think about what you've done.
Yeah, which it's so wild with that, especially with like the actress. I'm sorry, they are the exact age of the character, right? So
Yeah.
like this is what 19-year-olds look like. The video game is amalgamation of both the main actress and a created person that sure looks how they could perfectly depict. And that's why I also give credence to the lighting of shots and stuff like that, because I'm like, oh, they have a budget. The game, while they also have a budget, can still put in as many lights that they want,
Right.
and customize the shot in so many different directions that they can't put a camera in because of the fireplace in the back. Like, there's stuff and limitations to real world that I am okay with accepting, and that's why I'm totally forgiving of certain things, including, like I said, Until Dawn looked like it was shot like Netflix or a TV movie. But I do think that when I watched the movie, that fell away, and I was totally engaged with what they were doing in story. So like, there are definitely stuff, that can handle it. So, oh, we shall see. And we also can get into that Abby isn't muscular. Like, for instance, I don't care as long as the character is good. I do understand the arguments that is important to the character, but as long as that's the conversation and not just they look like a man, like, that is fucking stupid. And I hate those conversations.
Right. And I do think like it's similar. It's both with Ellie and Abby, which I'm curious. Obviously, we'll see way more of Abby in next.
Yeah.
If Abby's character is still beating the shit out of everybody, I don't care what she really looks like.
Exactly.
Like, I don't think we need to force actors to harm their bodies to get to unrealistic points. Like, and people are like, people do that all the time. Like, that actress that they chose has chosen not to do that for whatever reason. And like, that's fine.
Yeah.
If their acting is good, if Caitlin Dever is good and still kicks ass, which Caitlin Dever kicked ass in that last episode. I believed her as Abby so hard when she killed Jesse and all of that whole scene. Like, that was hardcore.
What about the murder? What murder?
I believed her more as Abby in that scene than I did in the Joel scene.
Yes.
But the same, I think it's like my issues with people have been saying, oh, Bella Ramsey, they are not mature enough, they are not like menacing enough. And I don't think that's an acting issue. I think that's, like you kind of mentioned, a script issue, a character issue of how they're directing that actor to be. Like, I've seen Bella Ramsey act circles around a lot of things and be tough and like choke a guy out at the beginning of the story. So where is that version?
They were so cool in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, like, where's that version of Ellie? I think that's a choice. I think it's a choice from the direction and the writing to be like, oh, we need Ellie to be softer. We need her to like be sorry that she killed this pregnant lady. She can't be unforgiving. Like, people don't like that. Like, we saw such backlash about that, or that won't work well for TV, or whatever the reason. And maybe they just changed their minds, which I would not understand with the path of the story, but
like, yeah, exactly. I feel like, and the good concession to that is they didn't kill the horse and they didn't kill the dog.
Yeah, which we love.
Which I'm okay with that. It was funny because like as the episodes were going along and I kind of knew where they were going in the story, and I was like, all right, let's tune in this week where we see a horse get exploded, and it never happened.
No. Yes, thankfully.
And then the dog as well. So which is, I have friends that have not played the game because they know about that happens, and they're like, I won't touch it, which I will give valid criticism. The guy I heard today at the game store that I was in was like, I still didn't play part 2 because Joel died. Fuck that. Fuck this game. And I'm like, you're an asshole. Like, we all know the reasons why you didn't play the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's so interesting because, to go back to like, yeah, there are a lot of and you know what? If that really is your reason and you love Joel so much and you don't want to see him die, whatever. I just feel like that there are a lot of stories out there that are more complicated. And I think some people don't want to be challenged by complicated stories. And I think if you are someone who who feels that way, I challenge you to try to go past your comfort zone, because I honestly like The Last of Us Part 2 as a story way more than Last of Us Part 1.
Okay.
I think Last of Us Part 1 is a story I've seen a lot of times and it's done extremely well. I really enjoy it. But Last of Us Part 2 feels like a story I haven't seen a lot of times, and I streamed that game on Twitch for the first time I played it, and I was constantly just like surprised and not delighted because I was depressed as fuck while playing it, but like just like constantly questioning what I thought about these things that were happening. Like Ellie has a conversation with Jesse at the end of the season where Jesse's like, you only do things for yourself, and like I do them for the community. And she's like, you think you're so good just because you do things for everybody else? Like my community was Joel, and like I'm doing something for that. And I think unfortunately, it was like a little bit on the nose of a conversation. That's another gripe I have with the TV show, which is that they literally say every thought and every theme of the game so out loud that you cannot miss it. I would beg you please to assume your audience has more intelligence and depth to be able to get through and understand these messages. But I think there are really complicated messages in part 2, and I like to be challenged like that. And like, what would I do? Do I think Ellie is right? Do I think that Abby is right? Is there any right in a world where you have to kill people to survive? Like, you know, I think the question of, we didn't talk about Neil saying that the vaccine definitely would have worked, which is something that he said. And I think that is very interesting that he finally sort of said that, because it makes that ending conversation very interesting to me.
Yeah, there's I think it's actually mentioned in the flashback episode, and that also added to the, okay, you're giving us answers that we never asked for, or it's fun to speculate on, will this work, will this not work, and for you to be as definitive as have Joel even say yes, it probably would work, but then Neil double downing and saying in our universe it would have worked. And I'm like, they do caveat that, like, you know, yeah, sure, it works, but could they have the supplies and the demand to like mass produce it? Like, I understand that conversation, but you know, there's some things that you don't need to say. You know, there's questions you don't need to answer. And I feel like that's where the disconnect from adaptation from game to screen is, to let's answer some questions that we didn't ask for. You know, like, I think a question that we didn't necessarily need the answer to, but worked in season 1 is when we saw Ellie's mother, which we never see in the game, but it's the fact that it's played by the voice actress that created that character, or like it embodied Ellie coming and doing that part, I think makes that elevate, in my opinion. But when you are just saying things like, you know, like, God, there was one other thing. I didn't remember it. Maybe it is said in the game. I don't remember Joel creating the guitar that ends up being her guitar.
Yeah, I didn't remember that either, but it would make sense to me.
It would make sense.
I do feel like they made him way more handy in this.
Because there's a whole TV show. He's literally making it, and he's doing and it's a subtle thing in the game where, like, if you go into the house and you're really exploring stuff, you see that he was woodworking. But for them to have like a whole scene dedicated to him building it, that started taking it away from me. I was like, oh, we're explaining that he does that on his off time. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I guess we knew he was upgrading weapons these whole time. He read a magazine and he made a sawed-off shotgun after reading a simple magazine. That's
true.
We do know he's very handy.
That is true. That is exactly how this. It's so funny how, like, the Fallout show and how they handle stuff like that is so perfect. Of like, mechanics that exist in the game just exist in the TV show as well, which is, so I think, genius. But yeah, so yeah, there's stuff like that. Well, I've had you here for quite a while. We've talked extensively both on Until Dawn. We talked quite a bit of here of Last of Us Part 2. I just want to do a quick roundup of all the adaptations that are coming out this year, because there's so many. We have quite a bit still coming up. There's some that have already passed. I'm just going to ask you a question. If you've seen them, if you've not seen them, if you had any thoughts. I had a hard time remembering if Borderlands came out this year, and it sure did. It came out in January, and I saw it. I went to the theaters. Quickly, have you seen Borderlands?
I have not. I never even played Borderlands.
Okay, so it's not even like a factor for you.
No, it looked. Here's the thing.
Yes.
It did not look good to me.
Okay.
Even as someone who never played Borderlands, I was like, oof.
Yeah.
It does not look good. And then everyone confirmed what I felt. So
yes, no, you're absolutely in the correct. I should not have done that. Minecraft, of course, we talked about. You haven't seen it. I still think it's worthy of a weird thing for kids. It's totally fine. Like, it didn't detract from it coming out. Like, there's Borderlands, and then there's Minecraft, and I would rather watch Minecraft 3 times than watch Borderlands again. So there's that. Of course, Until Dawn came out. We're more in the recommendation center with that one.
Yeah.
Last of Us Part 2. I mean, I'm still gonna watch the show. You got me regardless. They have a lot of homework to do, and my fear for the story is that they're going to overcorrect. Right? They're going to hear the criticisms that we have and then try to overcorrect and fix that in season 3, which, I would prefer you have a vision and you're going to commit to the vision. Right? So same thing. If they're going to do something with the season, they're not going to be like, oh, we heard people were mad about this, so we're going to fix it. But, I don't know.
See, I don't think that that's going to happen.
Okay.
I really feel like they don't care about how we feel. I think some of the changes they're making now were because of responses to the game. That was long enough ago. They kind of, okay, we know the discourse. We have our plan. At least I hope. I think if you're gonna make something like this 3 seasons, you have an overarching plan. We don't need another Star Wars trilogy issue with this, where there was no one leading the charge. But I do feel like Neil and Craig have a very specific vision, and I think they're going to continue on with whatever that is, good or bad. Whether we like what they did or what they don't, I don't feel like they're going to change it just because we're oh, Ellie's not my Ellie anymore.
And that's exactly how I feel too. So yeah, we're in coalescence for that. Okay, so the stuff that we still have coming up, Mortal Kombat 2. Have you seen Mortal Kombat 1?
Okay, I loved the first 60 minutes of that Mortal Kombat movie.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of devolves towards the end. I don't really understand that new character that they made with his weird muscle skin. Yeah. But the sort of I can't remember anybody's name anymore from Mortal Kombat, but the sort of feudal Japan era scene was fucking awesome. And
the Scorpion Sub-Zero stuff.
The characters were cool. Jax was awesome. I'm very excited for more of Johnny Cage to come. So I'm looking forward to it. I did a whole watch party for that, and I made a Mortal Kombat themed food and did a whole thing.
That's awesome.
So I'll probably do that when the second one comes out as well.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I like that movie quite a bit. I actually like the silliness that comes afterwards. But we don't need a random non-game character to tell your story. When the first movie, it's obviously centered on Liu Kang, which the Liu Kang they got in the new movie, hot as fuck, by the way. Just want to say that explicitly.
Is that a new person?
No, Liu Kang, the actor that played him, was very fun.
In the other movie.
Yes. I mean, and then in the new movie, the actor that played him, I think is fantastic. He is your central star. Why do we need the other guy?
No, I have no idea.
And my
other thing was how come they never made it to there was no Mortal Kombat.
There was no tournament.
Kombat.
No,
they never made it to the tournament. Why?
I don't know. Hopefully, I think this next one is the tournament, so we're finally getting there. I don't know if we need that guy though to be a part of it. I think he's in the cat. I'm not sure. He's also an ancestor to Scorpion. If I'm not mistaken, that's what the plot of the movie. I forgot. I have it on 4K. I got to watch it again.
I think that maybe he's going to die on the way back home to his home planet.
Which is crazy because they introduced like his wife and child.
Yeah. No, they're not going to get rid of him, but I don't understand. Like, you have so many. It's crazy with a franchise that has that many iconic characters to just make a new one that's so boring.
That is absolutely correct.
You have so many amazing people.
It could have been Sonya's story, and I would have been okay with that. But, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still looking forward to it.
Me too.
Despite how silly it is.
We're watching.
Yeah, we're watching it. No, there's no doubt about it. FNAF 2. Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
That's a streaming one for me.
Okay.
I love horror, so like I think that was also my caveat for Until Dawn. If you like horror movies, you're gonna probably enjoy that Until Dawn movie. Like, it's just a liker of horror. But same, like, FNAF 1 was like not very good. I loved Matthew Lillard and PETA from the Hunger Games.
Yes.
He could have been better. But the second one, I'll watch it when it comes to Peacock or whatever streaming it's on, because I'll be like, it'll be a fun little thing, and we'll see what color Freddy comes up this time.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And I remember watching the movie, and I ended up like liking the girl cop in the movie, and then I started watching. You ever watch the show You? She's
the main character from season 1.
I love her. So
yeah, she's great.
Spoilers for that show. Oh my god, the show's insane. So I'm excited for more of that.
Guinevere Beck.
Yeah, Guinevere Beck. I love you so much. I don't want to spoil that show. Enjoy. It's a fucking ride. And also it's also going to be the Billy and Stu show for who knows how long in that movie, because they're both in that movie. So I'm going to watch it. I'm not complaining. There was one other adaptation I just remembered while we were talking, and I just totally forgot what it was. Devil May Cry also happened. Did you end up checking that out?
It was a series, right?
Yeah, it was the animated series.
From the same people that did Castlevania?
Yes.
Or is it different?
Yeah, no,
I didn't watch it yet, but it's on my list because I did enjoy the first couple seasons of the Castlevania Netflix series.
As someone who was not so precious about Devil May Cry, I really enjoyed it. But I have talked to people that are precious to Devil May Cry, and they're very levels of this is awful to it's not Devil May Cry, it's something else. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I just played all the games this year. So like, again, I'm not super tied to the history, but like I see where they're coming from. Also, I've interviewed the creator before. We had a great conversation. We were talking about this exact show a couple years ago. He has since said some silly things online, so take it or leave it from there. And then of course the big one is Fallout Season 2.
So hyped. Can I say like a slight Fallout Season 2 spoiler?
I don't care, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess it's an end of Season 1. It's an end of Season 1, Fallout Season 1 spoiler. I'm gonna say it right now. Ready? We see New Vegas off in the distance. I'm ready to go to New Vegas. And fun fact, part of the New Vegas Strip set was like 7 minutes from my house.
That's awesome.
So I used to drive there like every couple of days and just look at it.
That's so cool.
They like put it in this parking lot of an old movie theater. And yeah, they set up like the Welcome to the Strip sign. And they had the vault that's there. And then they had like the entrance to the tops. It was I felt like a little kid. Like going to Disneyland for the first time, I was like, this is the Fallout New Vegas. And even though it was just a set, it felt so cool. I'm so excited to see New Vegas in all of its glory when Fallout 2 comes out. When Season 2 comes out. Because I'm ready. It's Fallout New Vegas is one of my favorite games of all time. And I'm ready to be there.
Yeah, I'm ready to be there too. They won me over. I wasn't necessarily a Fallout fan. I played 4. I got to a certain point where you find the person you're looking for, and I decided to end the game there because I didn't want to find out if they were some weird space Nazi. and then I watched the show, and I'm like, wow, Fallout's really cool. I'm gonna go back to my save, and I went back to my save, and I did a couple missions, and I'm like, oh shit, he's a space Nazi. Fucking
yeah.
God. Okay. All right, well, here we go. So I'm excited for season 2 because Ella Purnell really won me over as the lead of this character. Just the sort of like the 50s sort of like anything can happen, like go gotcha, like attitude mixed in with just the horrible nature that can happen in Fallout is really funny. The way that they talk to each other, it's just so good. Kyle MacLachlan, which I'm a huge, massive fan, as we all know. I'm a huge Twin Peaks person, so any more screen time, especially for what they're doing with him, how he's gonna be a part of this, give him back. Walter Goggins as the Ghoul. He killed it. He keeps killing.
So good.
And then the fact that they're teamed up in some aspects, and we're gonna see what that continuous story is gonna be, and that's what I'm also excited for. Is there Fallout touchstones that you were excited to see that it might happen in this show? Because this also takes place after the game, correct? Because it's timeline wise.
I think it's like hundreds of years after Fallout New Vegas, the game.
Okay.
What I would like to see, well, honestly, like I've already seen part of the set, so I feel like it's gonna look really good.
Okay.
That's what I'm excited. It's gonna look like the Vegas Strip, but all fucked up. I want to see, because one of my favorite parts of New Vegas is the different gangs and also the different casinos. So like every casino is owned by a different gang, and I love how different their personalities are. And then I'm also curious if the Kings are still around, because like they have a whole Elvis themed gang and they all like basically listen to Elvis records and like emulate his personality. That's and awesome. They walk around with little like Elvis coiffs and like leather jackets and stuff. So I really want to see if they're still around. And the Kings, I would love to have like an appearance from Yes Man or some of the robots, because they don't have time limits obviously on like being alive. Yeah. So some of the robot android people, the little android dog, I can't remember his name right now, Rex, I think. Like if he's around, I would be stoked. Like so some of the robot companions that you can have, I would be super stoked to see them around, even if they're just like hanging out, in the background. I'm like, oh, it's him.
I would love, some more companions that will show up hopefully in the show, and new characters that were introduced. I would even like fan favorite game characters that, like you said, don't have a limitation of time that can show up in the show. Like, I'm not mistaken, but Nick Valentine, oh my god, what kind of you know what I'm talking about? The detective from 4.
Yeah, love him.
He could live quite a while too, right?
I think so.
So then I just for some reason would like for him to show up. Like there's characters that I feel like that are not people. He's a person, but I meant like he's an entity that
robot based character.
Yes, exactly. Like they can be here and they can be part of this story, and their story is continued from whatever continuity that exists in lore. So like I would really, really appreciate that. As far as my touchstones to Fallout, like I said, I'm very novice to the series as a whole, but that's what's great about it, is that the show still drawed me in. I still understood some of the things that were part of the world, and I was wowed by some of the others. And that's what intrigues me for season 2, is for that continuing adventure. And hopefully the Fallout 3 remake is real, and we'll get to experience it in, the coming years. I really hope that's true.
See, I'm hoping for a Fallout New Vegas.
I know you are.
Because I feel like you put it out right before the show.
Yes.
For holiday, that would be such a good little synergy for your show. You got to see the show and then you play it. But I know most of the people have said it's a Fallout 3 thing going on. Which is fine. It's okay if you guys are wrong, if you love Fallout 3 the best.
I'm excited to experience all these things. I did download immediately New Vegas to my Steam Deck, so like it's there, it's waiting for me. I'm still getting through. I think I was playing a couple of Final Fantasy games, but once I get past those, then I will jump over to Fallout New Vegas. But yeah, that I believe is the year of adaptation. There's obviously stuff that we could talk about there that are coming out after the fact, but this seems to be a good stopping point to end the conversation. But I want to thank you so much for talking to me for an hour 30 plus about what the future holds for us, what makes a good adaptation, and so much. So again, thank you for having a talk with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
This is the first time, right?
My favorite thing.
This is the first time?
Yeah, our first. Yeah, it's our first chat.
Okay.
So exciting.
That is cool.
It's my favorite things: video games, movies. I love combining those two. So this is perfect topic.
Yes. Well, Madeline, where can people find you on the net, and where are some things that we should look out for in the future?
Sure, you can find me everywhere at Mad Exposure. You can check me out on Twitch, where I stream games like every Wednesday. You can also follow me on Blue Sky or Instagram at Mad Exposure there as well. Every 7 months I make one TikTok. So if you want to follow me on TikTok, you can follow me there if you want. I'm trying to be better about it. Things looking forward to. I am trying to do a bunch of Summer Games Fest coverage. I think this will probably be in the past, but
yes.
It will be up. So go check it out. See what happened at Summer Game Fest. I said if they announce Until Dawn at Summer Game Fest, I'm going to get an Until Dawn tattoo. So if you check me out and you see that I have an Until Dawn tattoo, you know what happened. And yeah, just go ahead and follow me if you want to talk video games. I will talk video games and movies with literally anyone, anytime. I love doing it. Oh, and check me out on Letterboxd if you love movies and adaptations. I have Letterboxd. I'm Mad Exposure as there as well. I've
been pretty bad about it this year of being on Letterboxd, but I will try and fix that with the upcoming ones because they're going to be watching so many damn movies. It's been a wonderful time to talk to you. I will say, if you do end up getting that tattoo, if for any reason that you happen to do it in the next couple of weeks, I will absolutely insert that into the video.
Yes.
You also, the one thing that will also appear in the video is you mentioned something about Last of Us t-shirts. I actually, I have just says the Last of Us t-shirt. So there will be a shot of me just going oh shit. So that's awesome.
See, I have one Last of Us sweatshirt and it's just the Fireflies logo.
Yeah. See, I like that. That's pretty cool. That's a cool way to market your game. So not just The Last of Us. Again, thank you so much for the conversation, and I'm excited for more of these. Of course, thank you all for watching. Like I said, this is additional content to what you'll be seeing hopefully on the channel. Continue to support. I will continue to post these conversations because I still think they're fun, and we'll keep it going here at Only Special Features. So again, thank you so much. Goodbye now.
Bye.